Hi, I'm Daniel, and this is my co-host, George. And today we have Aitor on the show.
Hello.
Could you give us an introduction of yourself? Who are you and what you do?
Okay, yeah, cool. And yeah, my name is Heitor, right? Heitor Valente. Actually, my full name is Heitor Gabriel da Silva Valente. Big name, right? And I'm Brazilian and Portuguese. So Brazil, Portugal, two football countries, I would say. And I've been working the sports industry like 10 years already, and mostly football. And I would say half of my career it is sports industry, another half educational sector. And I worked together with Jorge Moraes, who was and still is the president of the Brazilian Association of Football Agents. I worked with him during 5 years. So my main experience it is like agency, esports, and education. Not that much into national teams, football clubs, which would be what people are looking for in most of the cases. But yeah, and about my field area, I really like scouting, talent ID, performance analysis, player development, all this stuff, all these fields. So that would be my passion, I would say. Despite of the fact that in the past 2 3 years I've been way more into management, which is a bit boring, which to be sincere with you. But I mean, my blood, like it is about identify talent and try to get the best framework to develop them. So that would be my key, I'd say.
It's nice to meet you, Heitor. Very happy to have you on here. Just for like the first question, just wanted to ask, like, how did you first get started in football, and like, what kept you motivated to keep going with recruiting and scouting, and what was your real inspiration when you first started, like, your whole journey through football?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, me as a Brazilian is like kind of automatic thing, like playing and studying, seeing matches like 24/7 since I was a kid. But I would say I start quite late. I started playing, watching football. I remember I probably had like 10 years old because kids over here they start like 4 or 5. If you start like 10 years old, you're old. So that would be my case back then. And I would say maybe the reason that I didn't enter into a professional level because I started quite late. And yeah, I tried to play like everybody, right? Try to make it, but couldn't succeed. And that time I got to know Football Manager, the game. I don't know if you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
we
both.
know.
Yeah, I used to play like FIFA, Pro Evolution Soccer, and then I got to know Football Manager. When I got to know Football Manager, things change. My life changed because I started playing like crazy. I had like 15, 16 years old, and my like high school grades, everything like failing, decreasing, and I didn't care, just playing, playing, playing. Anyway, and then university, college, right? Getting older, so time for make a decision, and I decided to choose physical education slash sports science. I would say top five university. I mean level here in Brazil, the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, the one that I studied. And when I started, I didn't know the field. I want to work in football, but coach, assistant coach, analyst, sports manager, whatever, I didn't know. And then I got to know football analysis. First period, the first semester. A club, I don't know if you know, Vasco da Gama,
Yeah,
a club
basketball.
here in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, where I'm from. And I had a course over there with the staff of Vasco da Gama. And also that time, I decided to contact the research team of Football Manager, the team from Brazil, the research team, because I got to know that you can just contact them, send them like a cover letter, portfolio, something similar, and you might get selected. So I decided to send an email. Actually, I contact the Portuguese team first, and then they refer me to the Brazilian one. And 2017, I actually started working like full time football analysis and the research part of Football Manager. And also that time, I got involved with 38 Sports into data reviewer. I don't know if they still have such thing, but back then they had like a team of data reviewers,
Mhm.
just checking some attributes of players and everything. So yeah, that's how I started approaching people, talking, attending workshops, seminars, symposiums, and everything. How to get to know people, contact cards, and everything. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, from what I saw on your LinkedIn profile, is that, and you talked about it briefly, is that you worked in football across many environments around the world. I was curious to what was the most interesting environment that you've seen, and why.
Mhm. No, yeah. I mentioned to you the football agency experience, which is the main one, 5 years, right, with the president
Hmm.
of the Brazilian Association of Football Agents. And I would say it is my second degree because I was studying like undergrad student, part time, and all the uh, part of my life like working in the agency. And I really like because I got to know business, how things work. Because
Mhm.
if you play football manager, if you see like news, watch whatever, you think it is easy, like
Yeah.
negotiating contracts and millions or thousands, whatever. But it's not easy at all. There are whole background, backstage story that you don't know that much if you are not into the business, sport, football, soccer, whatever. So I really like. I would say my favorite, position, role, company that I had the opportunity to work and get involved because I actually learn how things work in football and how players act, think. Because I used to deal with players, because players, of course, part of the agency. I used to talk to them. And if you work for a football club or national team, whatever, you might not have the chance to talk to players like you talk if you are part of an agency, which is something that I learned as well. And there are some stories, I mean, in terms of how players act, think, and proceed their life. And many of them, I would say, they seem like ready, mature, like adults, 20, 25 years old or something similar for their age. But if you look then like deeply, they they look like a child in many cases. So I learned that during that time. But anyway, yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, even speaking of Football Manager, like me and Daniel, we both played a lot, and we can, in relation to like the transition from like academy football to the professional game, we've seen you've written some stuff about it, you've talked about it before. What do you think hampers some players from the transition to go from academy football to becoming professional? What holds them back, do you think?
Yeah, what would be the main point?
Hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, youth academy, the environment of the youth in general, the pressure, it is not that much involved. It is way less if you compare with the professional first team level. And if you play like under 15, under 13, it is very different. And in many cases, especially nowadays, there are many clubs, countries, they are looking for ready players. What I mean by that is the kid like 13, 15 years old looks like an adult. It is ready to play for like first team, and the kid's just 14, 15 years old. Nowadays, it is crazy. And I would say such kids, teenagers, it is more difficult for them to succeed later on because they are very comfortable during the youth academy level scenario and phase. And there are many, let's say, off the pitch, off the field points that counts a lot,
Yeah.
because many people think like, no, you just play well, rest, don't mess up, and you're gonna make it. But not really. not really. As I said, there are the physicality of the game, the demands of the game, which is the on the pitch, on the field, right? And together with the mental, the process of development, and many players, especially high level ones like big clubs, they sign a contract to make a good amount of money, and especially if such kids, teenagers, they are coming from, let's say, a low income background, they can get crazy because in some cases they are not that ready, to see such amount of money. I would say nowadays it is easier because every good, great player, they usually have a staff surrounding them, like 14, 15 years old, which is something that didn't happen. We didn't see like 20, 30 years ago in football. But it is still, of course, complicated to
Yeah.
say in a field.
Um, and so you mentioned earlier that you something you really were passionate about was scouting. So I was wondering if you noticed that certain countries or clubs tend to value different things when identifying talent.
Yeah, you mean a different approach?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Premier League, it is the main league, worldwide speaking, and there are many clubs in England that they have a different approach. And if you compare with other scenarios, environments, but some people say that nowadays football, there's no idiots, there's no, let's say, non-smart people, which is true. Everyone's looking for data, news, information in order to get to know more details of clubs, squads, teams, information. So, of course, there are different approaches, different framework designs, smart ones, advanced ones from some clubs, as I said, especially from Premier League. And but in general, I think if you look into, for example, top five league in Europe, uh, every club they tend to have, let's say, good amount of information and try to proceed, in the best way possible. But of course, the practical scenario is, in many cases, it is very different from the theoretical perspective. So you might have the best scouting team department, you might look into the best data, but at the end, it is like a sporting director, the agency, the agency, the negotiation, the process, the player's mentality, the transition. So it's not easy at all. And as I said, from the theoretical point of view, it might look good, a certain player profile into a squad, into a team, but then into practice, it is not that easy to make it happen.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback onto that last question, like as your experience as a professional scout, especially at the club level, when you're watching an individual player, what do you like mainly look for? What is important to you? Like, is it the team structure, the player's technical abilities, athleticism, the league level he's playing at, his tactical role, and his fit to the club? What do you mainly look at when you're scouting a specific player?
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, I think especially young age, uh, the more important would be the ability, the ball control, and the intelligence, how the player position themselves into the pitch, look into the spaces, and trying to fit the best spots, in order to receive the ball in good conditions and advance and progress as much as they can. And I think every player, doesn't really matter your position, you shall have an attacking mindset. Once you have the ball, once your team has the ball, you shall look into the best scenario in order to score the goal. And at the same time, once you don't have the ball, especially nowadays, you have to defend. You have to cover their space in the best way possible in order to limit the opponent. So it is very macro, the analysis. And I think the most important point, it is which club, which agency you are representing, because you need to see the game with their eyes. It's very difficult because everyone has its own perception, mentality, uh, you know, uh, idea of the game. But at the end, you shall follow a club, agency that you are representing. So I think at the end, that would be it. And it is said that in many cases, scouts they don't receive the recognition that they deserve. And
Yeah.
in some cases, I would say they are just preparing reports, like working a lot 24/7, but the club, the company, they don't really assimilate or consider their reports that much. But that would be, maybe another podcast that we can have over here or something similar.
Yeah, that's our last question, but it kind of builds upon what you mentioned. Is what actually makes a player report useful beyond just listing what the player's strengths or weaknesses are?
What could make a player useful?
No, the player report.
The player report. Yeah, as I said, it depends a lot. So the club, the company that you are working, and but in a few, you have the video analysis, which in some cases, especially nowadays, there are clubs they try to proceed just through video analysis. The live analysis is not important as used to be have, but I don't really subscribe to this idea. I really think the combination, the merged scenario is the best, live through plus video, and that the data it is like a filter. So that's basically it. You look into the data, the statistical point of view, in order to filter. So instead of looking to 1,000 players, you gotta look into 15, 20, which is way easier to
Yeah.
get an outcome. So yeah, that would be it. And then you're gonna go to the technical attributes. I mean, in a few it is four: technical, tactical, physical, and mental. You have these four attributes of the player. And you mentioned quite well, me, George, the importance of the league, the club, the level, and of course every player is different, but you have to look into the player, the level of the she or he is playing, because in some cases, especially in middle or low leagues, you receive many videos of players to consider, to analyze. And many of these videos, they plays like Messi, Maradona, Neymar, Ronaldo, whatever. But and then you're gonna see the level of the league. It
Yeah.
is like nothing.
Yeah.
So the level shall come, together with.
Okay, I think that was it. All the questions me and George had, but thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. I feel like I learned a
I
lot.
really appreciate. Yeah, really appreciate it. Really happy to have you on, especially someone at your level and in your experience and the things you've done in your career so far. We really appreciate you coming on and be speaking with us and taking the time to do it. So thank you so much for being on with us today.
No, no, yeah, happy, to help and be here, talk about scouting football, talent ID, performance analysis, all this stuff. I think, it's very important, needed, and to raise the awareness in some cases, and put the level up, right? Doesn't
Hmm.
matter like the circumstance, the country. So, and
Yeah.
yeah, anything, I'm here.
Yo, that guy's cool, man. That guy's cool, man.